Hi, it's great to be part of the Wall Street Journal Tech Conference today. I'm going to take you on a wild and fast ride through many of the trends that will shape next year and the coming years. Since January, our team at Activate has been carrying out consumer research, looking at technology innovation, and doing a bunch of industry analysis. And that all leads us to our annual technology and media outlook, which is now on the Wall Street Journal site and app. So, where should we start? Let's start with the growth of these industries. We forecast that global internet and media revenues are going to grow by $400 billion over the next 4 years, reaching $2.5 trillion globally. Where is that growth going to come from? Well, we start the most important person in technology and media, and that's the user. For the past decade, we've carried out extensive consumer research to determine how people are spending their time and attention with technology and media. And if we look at this from the perspective of multitasking, when you add up all of the multitask time in a day, we find that the average American is spending over 13 hours a day with technology and media. Interestingly, that number has been growing over the last couple years. And during shelter in place, it jumped. It jumped by almost 50 minutes a day. And that increase, you can see it's been sustained. On this slide, what we've done is we've chopped those 13 hours into 15-minute chunks. And what you can see here in purple is that video accounts for the majority of the time at over 5 hours a day. Audio is second, followed by gaming, and then social. But not all users, we talk about users, but not all users are the same. There's actually an important group of users who punch way above their weight in terms of time and money spent with technology and media. We call them super users, and everyone in these industries needs to pay particular attention to this group because they're going to be critical to every company's growth. Super users, they're only about 26% of all users, and yet they account for almost twice the amount of time and attention spent on tech and media. So super users, they spend over 17 hours a day compared to 9 hours a day for all other users. They're also super spenders. Those 26% of super users account for 42% of the dollars spent on video, 74% of the dollars spent on gaming, and almost 80% of the dollars spent on music and podcasts. In e-commerce, they account for 70% of the overall spending on online shopping. And in terms of video streaming services, super users also over-index. They subscribe to 7 services on average when everybody else is about 2.5. So let's take a deeper dive into video. As I talked about earlier, the average consumer is spending about 5 hours a day watching video. And what's interesting is the mix. We forecast that about 3 hours a day will be digital video and about 2 hours a day will be television. TV will be down by as much as 50 minutes a day. Part of that digital video is social video usage. This shows the percentage of 18 to 24-year-olds who are using each of these major services. TikTok, which launched 4 years ago, is now greater than Snapchat and Facebook. The other social media platforms, they've all launched their own short-form video products to compete directly with TikTok. So let's look at the influencers for those services. Each of these screens shows the top 10 influencers in each of the services. And when you look across TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, you see that each of those services has their own set of influencers, and each platform has its own appeal to users in terms of content and types of programming. So let's come back to television for a second. Today, in the US, we have roughly 120 million television households. 75 million are pay TV subscribers, and about 33 million are homes that have broadband but no pay TV. We forecast that by 2025, those numbers of pay TV subscribers are going to go down to 60 million homes, and 47 million homes are going to have that broadband but no pay TV, and we're calling them battleground households. Over the next year, we expect that every major company is going to be fighting for those battleground households. And they're also going to be watching those 17 million people who are receiving TV through an antenna. We've been tracking the number of streaming services subscriptions in the US for the last 5 years. If you go back to 2016, the average household was subscribing to 1.6 services. To today, we expect that the average subscriber will pay for 4.4 services. And by 2025, this is going to go up to 5.8 streaming services. After video, the next largest part of daily user time and attention is audio. Audio is one of the fastest growing technology and media behaviors. It was about 2.5 hours a day in 2018, and we forecast that the average user is going to spend about 3 hours a day in 2025. The growth has largely been driven, or almost entirely driven, by digital audio. And people use music for different occasions. Consumers are using, on average today, 2.6 music services, and that's up from 1.6 just a few years ago. And we see that free services are especially important for this growth. Even those people who use paid music services, 67% of those who are using paid are also using free services. Let's talk about social and live audio. This is the newest audio phenomenon. Clubhouse, it's their rapid growth, highlights how quickly this new audio experience has gained traction. In less than a year, Clubhouse went from a few thousand users into tens of millions. And in response to Clubhouse's success, other technology companies have launched their own social and live products. We've already seen Discord, Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, and now Reddit and LinkedIn are soon to follow. TikTok. TikTok is driving music discovery, especially among younger users. 38% of 18 to 34-year-olds, they've discovered new artists and songs through the app. And several artists now are using TikTok to launch their careers or break out to the top of the charts. Finally, growth in podcast listening shows how important audio will be in the lives of most users. We forecast that the number of podcast users will increase from about 95 million just a few years ago to 170 million by 2025. During shelter in place, esports reached a new audience of consumers, and these are people they were starved for sports and other live events. And that momentum has continued into 2021 with no signs of slowing down. Today, we're at about 550 million esports viewers around the world. By 2025, we forecast that total esports viewers will surpass 700 million, and that's even higher than most of the other mainstream sports. Revenues for esports will continue to grow over the next 4 years, and we project that they will reach $5 billion by 2025. And most of that's going to be money that comes from consumers spending on everything from tickets to merchandising, and most importantly, esports betting. And more than that, esports will be a gateway to other technology and media experiences, from augmented reality to cryptocurrency to podcasting, and yes, betting. Now let's talk about e-commerce. Today, global retail sales are $24 trillion. We expect this to surpass $30 trillion in 2025. E-commerce will add more absolute dollars than physical retail and account for $9 trillion in sales. 4 companies account for half of all global e-commerce, and those are Alibaba, Amazon.com, JD.com, and Pinduoduo. Most surprising is Pinduoduo, which has now come out of nowhere, and it's exploding in popularity in the last several years, and it's now bigger than the online sales of Walmart, Rakuten, and Apple e-commerce combined. Although categories such as electronics, books, and clothing have shifted online, there are a number of categories that haven't really made the full transition. They include everything from automotive, furniture, and jewelry. Going forward, there's a whole bunch of new tech and the pandemic that's going to force people to e-commerce. And it's going to increase the penetration for even the most expensive and complex categories. This is really startling. Today, only 2% of the 56 million cars that are sold in the United States, and I mean new and used, are through e-commerce. We forecast that by 2025, 10 to 15% of the 60 million cars that will be sold will be sold online, totally touchless. To put that in perspective, that's over $100 billion a year that will be added to e-commerce sales. AR technology is going to help here. This is an app from Porsche, which turns your driveway into an automobile showroom. IKEA's created the ability for you, a consumer, to try out furniture before they buy it and it gets into a moving van. And here we see how discovery will evolve to include visual search. This is about the closest thing that there is to an impulse purchase. And many of the largest online and physical retailers are now offering paid shopping memberships, which include things like free shipping and special offers and even cheaper gasoline from Walmart. Interest in shopping memberships has reached new heights during the pandemic. During the pandemic, 27% of households signed up for a new shopping membership, and nearly all of them plan to keep at least one of those memberships for the future. But it's not just physical goods, it's also virtual goods as well. Here are some examples of virtual goods that are going to be sold through e-commerce. Cryptocurrency is going to be critical to the next wave of a number of technology businesses and experiences. This is amazing. 56 million Americans have already used cryptocurrency. The biggest percentage use cryptocurrency for investments, and these are the blue bars up top. But in the future, these are the green bars, crypto is going to be heavily used for banking and for payments. Bitcoin and Ethereum, they make up the majority of the market. Bitcoin at 44% and Ether at 17%. But a lot of the innovation is going to come from the other 39%, which are altcoins. Cryptocurrencies, they're going to be critical to the next wave of industries, such as video gaming, sports betting, data. They're all going to be driven by cryptocurrency. And the blockchain technology that enables cryptocurrency is also going to power NFTs. The growth we've seen in global non-fungible token sales over the last years has been extraordinary. In 2020, total sales were only 70 million. And already in 2021, we have seen over 8 billion in sales. This market will either grow or burst in a bubble. It's too soon to tell. So let's make this real. Let's look at some examples. So here we have The Undertaker, one of WWE's biggest all-time star wrestlers. In the middle, we have NBA Top Shot that has sold over $700 million worth of video clips. And here we have the Coca-Cola Bubble Jacket, which you can use in a game called Decentraland, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So what drives consumers to buy NFTs? Today, we see the main reasons that people are buying them is either as investments or novelties. It's the world of video games where NFTs are going to become increasingly important. Global video game revenues are going to go from about $110 billion in 2016 to over $220 billion in 2024. And in the US, the gamer population continues to grow. Activate's research shows that there are now over 150 million adult gamers in the US. And our research also shows that the average gamer is now spending about $20 a month on gaming. Most of the highest grossing games are now available across multiple platforms: PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. This shows some of those most important top games and all of the places where you can play them. Multi-platform gamers today spend 51% more time gaming than someone who just uses one platform. The average gamer plays about 5 days a week and about 3 times a day. Let's just hope that's not at work. Consumers are increasingly going beyond traditional gaming activities. 60% of gamers have participated in non-gaming activities inside of games, including everything from attending live concerts to shopping at virtual recreations of stores. I cannot say this more strongly. Video gaming is the new technology paradigm. As all digital activities continue to migrate into games, it will fundamentally change the way people interact with each other. Everything you can do in the digital and virtual worlds on both sides of me here, you will be able to do inside of gaming. And gaming, most importantly, will be the foundation for the metaverse. The major technology companies understand the importance of gaming as the next technology paradigm. And these companies, they're all going to compete to build their presence in gaming up and down the full gaming stack, touching everything from game publishing to virtual worlds to AR, VR devices. Microsoft and Valve are the closest thing to filling out all of the boxes and being full stack platforms. But they're going to face some new competition. Netflix is the latest entrant, and they just bought a gaming company. But they're going to join a pretty crowded field. The problem for the largest technology companies, they just can't build their way into games the way that they do everything else. They're going to have to make large-scale acquisitions. We expect the technology giants are going to pursue acquisitions of the top gaming companies. So on the left, you see the market caps of the major technology companies, and on the right, the market caps of the major gaming companies. The fact is, the value of the gaming companies is no greater than one day's volatility of the stocks of the largest technology companies. Now that we've talked about gaming, let's talk about the metaverse. With the huge volume of metaverse headlines this year, it seems as though 2021 is the year that everybody discovers the metaverse. But is it really? Technology companies have been talking about the metaverse for the longest time. In fact, these are some headlines from 15 years ago that show the potential of the metaverse has been in the conversation for a long time. Technology and media companies have been forging the path to the metaverse for the last 2 decades. But it's only in the recent years that we've seen so much activity in the space. This is a timeline, and across the top, you can see the full set of different video games and events that are aimed at the metaverse. On the bottom, we have the technologies and the technology companies that are going to enable those experiences, everything from the app stores to 5G. Going forward, on the right-hand side, we can see so much happening this year, and we expect so much more in the future. There's so many complicated explanations out there about the metaverse. Let's make it very simple. There are 3 main elements in today's metaverse: social and non-game experiences inside of games, augmented reality and virtual reality, and users as creators of content and experiences. Eventually, this is all going to shrink the divide between physical and digital worlds. Lots of people talk about how the metaverse will be built, but there's no doubt for us the games are the starting point, and they're going to be the foundation. They're really the only path towards the metaverse. Games are already at scale with hundreds of millions of users. Many of them already involve users creating content, and gamers already engage in all sorts of digital activities inside of games. And they're already taking the real world into the digital world. Make no mistake about it, video games are morphing into metaverse platforms. These are the games that millions of people are playing today, all sorts of different flavors. And there are new games like Decentraland and Axie Infinity that include features that look a lot like metaverse. So let's look at the kinds of things that's going on in these games. Here you see Lil Nas X gave a concert in Roblox. Ariana Grande, a concert in Fortnite. And what you see here is that we've got Decentraland where you can buy virtual real estate. There's a casino in Grand Theft Auto. Doesn't have anything to do with the gameplay. There's laser tag in Rec Room, and a virtual neighborhood in NBA 2K where you can meet up with friends or have a coffee. Virtual reality and augmented reality are the bridge between the digital worlds of the metaverse and the physical world. By the way, 85% of VR users are gamers. In each of these metaverse platforms, there's a growing economy, which includes things like advertising, shopping, virtual real estate, and of course, virtual goods. Every definition of the metaverse out there talks about interoperability. We think it's not going to happen so fast. Most of the cross-metaverse activities are going to be through third-party applications that are already at scale, including Discord, Spotify, and Venmo. How's all this going to shake out? The metaverse is going to be for everyone. There's not going to be one big metaverse or one big platform. No one's going to own the metaverse. Most importantly, every technology and media company is going to need a metaverse strategy. So let's talk about the year ahead. There's so much that's going to happen. Here's what we should look for. Convergence will accelerate. Every company will focus on super users. Video games will reign supreme. And fast computing and connectivity from 5G is going to enable all this. I'd like to thank everybody at the Wall Street Journal and Dow Jones, Robert Thompson, Matt Murray, Joanna Stern, Almor Latour, Jason Anders, and Thurl Barker. 2022 is going to be an amazing year. Stay safe, everybody.